Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, bringing you the post-match reaction to today's disaster clash 3-0 loss to Crystal Palace. That definitely wasn't in the script, but it is what it is. Jack, we're going to be bringing a bit of a different post-match reaction today. Do you want to explain what's going on?
Yeah, I figured, the Harris Army, we're all very frustrated. We're all kind of wondering, what went wrong today, David. And this is why, we figured, for this show, we kind of do maybe a lessons learned. How did we go wrong? What went wrong? What mistakes were made by Nuno? What mistakes were made by the players? Maybe even us as fans, for the, anticipation of this game and whatnot, Dave. It's going to be like a lessons learned, almost like a hindsight kind of episode, you might say. Hopefully make us all feel a little bit better, maybe about this atrocious loss. But yeah, guys, it's just going to be a solid breakdown of how maybe we went wrong in this game. And I think there's no better way to call it than, a lessons learned kind of show, Dave.
Yeah, look, definitely 100%.
Hopefully we don't have to do it too often as well.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully this is the only one we have to do this season. Look, everyone's down. Everyone's pissed off. There's no point of, just go mad. So, look, we're going to try and take a bit of a different approach to it. And, look, I hope you guys do enjoy it. But, look, let's welcome some of the Harris Army in. We have NSQ says, guys, we effed up. Of course we did. Darrell Denton says, what did we learn? Forget top four. We don't create nothing, and we play slow counter-attacking football without the attacking. Going to be a long season, I'm afraid. Oh, Darrell, what are you doing to me, my man? What are you doing to me? No, I get you. He also says, would love to sugarcoat it, but the eyes don't lie. That is very true.
I'm with you.
That is very true. And he's using my saying. I absolutely love it. Nourish, big up Irish Hotspur on the panel. Davies out, Moon Boots out, Levy out, Enoch out. Big up Nourish.
All of the above.
All of them. JC, no quality depth in the squad, no proactive management today. Preparation certainly hampered by injuries, but the performance from the off was poor. Yeah, it was a very strange performance. Even Nuno didn't really look inspired on the sideline either, not even to change things. Brian says team selection was wrong from the start. Can't expect any creativity with Højbjerg, Winks and skipping midfield. Dele was poor as well. Absolutely shocking. Fair comment. Big up, Brian. Chris says awful performance, no midfield creativity. Players like Winks and Davies stealing a wage at the club. Not good enough, seriously. Yeah, look, I'm sure we'll end up touching on them. I do have views on that. Chris says, Dan and I stopped watching after Ben Davies conceded a stupid penalty. Yeah, I know. Look, it's like he was inviting Gallagher for a slow dance around the dance hall. It was ridiculous. James Redmond says team talk suggests Ali, Winks and Skip need to be dropped below Brighton on goal difference and could be 7 by Tuesday. Should have accepted Pep's offer of 100 million for Kane, a no-brainer. Yeah, no, look, fair point. Who else have we got? Dan N says Nuno got this one deeply wrong. The team choice and formation were miles off it today. That's fair. JC, Rodon can be relied upon when called upon. Ben Davies cannot. Royal offered nothing going forward, but wasn't helped out much. Mark and Zaha. Sean Snow says plan A, so let's do plan A. Well, that one isn't working. Let's try plan A for the past 2 years between Spurs and England. I can't see a difference in play. Snooze Fest Cutty always comes up short. Fair point. A lot of disgruntled fans here today and every right to be. Bjorn, the Norwegian Viking, what we learned, that we have our old Spurs back again. Nuno got everything wrong today. What did he think starting Winks? Yeah, couldn't agree more. Let's see who else we have. We have Adam McFarlane in the building. Says I could play well against Norwich. Yeah, that's true. That's also very true. Who else have we got here? Jeez, the comments are going mad again already. Absolutely insane.
He's had trauma from before, David.
Yeah, it is. Dark Sun G says, I'm worried about Kane. If he can't show up against a team like Palace, when will he show up? Is it now that we are a Son and Stevie only team? I don't know, my man. I don't know. It's just, look, it's very disappointing. Mr. K, reporting for duty. Big up, Mr. K. Hashtag Harris Army. Hope things are well. Daniel Field, can't believe it. Yeah, neither can I. Cody Mack, big yourself up. That was an abomination of a football match. It was a joke, Cody. Aaron Dove says, I'm just going to sit back and listen. Big up, Aaron. Hope things are well. Thanks for retweeting it as well. That doesn't go unnoticed, my man. Appreciate that. Go get it. Saying facts. Big yourself up. Go get it. Hope things are good. Thomas James Smith. Hope things are well. We learned that the 3 wins was a false economy. No passion, no plan A, let alone plan B. Can't believe that DM trio started with. We had no chance. Yeah, look, from the moment the lineup was put out, you knew. Lex got up at 4 a.m. to watch that game. Man, that was tough. I feel sorry for you. They should be coming out apologising for fans like that across the world getting up at mad times to watch it. Terry Wright says, big up, gents. Golden Cock. Please, guys, make me smile like usual after today's display. I sat all day with my gooner and Chelsea mate to make things worse. Hopefully, look, I'm not in the best moods myself, so hopefully we can. David, big up. He says, ready for this therapy session. Dave Tyson's in the building, says evening. Big yourself up. We have Pamela says we was missing them attacking players today badly. Yeah, big time. Keith Hicks, 1 loss and people are turning on the manager. Yeah. I get people's frustrations. No, it's a bit too early to be turning on the manager though. Raymond Simpson says, big up the Irish Army. Big yourself up, my man. Big up Adam Adams in the building. Hi lads. Hopefully you can cheer me up after today. A lot of people looking for us to do a bit of a cheer up. Let's see what we can do. Brian C says, big up, lads. Must give credit for win or learn to John Kavanagh, MMA coach's book. I hope Nuno learns from today. No, Brian, you've absolutely, me and Jack been talking about that quote all day. I was actually the inspiration for this show tonight. So big yourself up, Brian. Absolutely love it. Aaron Fernandez says, dead team selection. Can't blame Winks. He is what he is. Nuno played him. Can't ask for something from Winks, which he doesn't offer. That's a fair point. Eddie Ryan, the team played shit. Our midfield was clueless. Couldn't pass a ball forward. Passes sideways and backwards. Couldn't agree more. And then we have 2 super chats to get to. And then, Jack, we will get into it. So, look, Paul Markey says, lessons. Winks is still a waste of space. Couldn't agree more. Nuno still doesn't know his squad. Yep, I think, look, he should have known after the Pacos game who could rely on, to be honest with you. Kane is not interested. Yep, I didn't look interested today. And still big questions on Royale. Yeah, difficult afternoon for Royale. But look, everything in there, Jack. The whole show is over now. We can go again. Big up, Paul Markey.
Big up, Paul. All I would say, Paul, is, we definitely, learned with a few players, maybe this really is hopefully the final straw for some of maybe the Davies lovers, the Winks lovers of the world. Maybe this is the final straw for them, considering it was a Premier League match instead of a Europa Conference League match or whatnot that they blew. But also as well, Nuno doesn't seem to know his squad maybe as well as we thought. He's not maybe picking the right lineups or maybe not even trusting his players, we might say, enough so far. So Nuno definitely needs to maybe, just think about the squad differently for sure. Not going to really comment too much on Kane not being interested. I couldn't really read into that too much. Maybe David, more the Kane interpreter might be able to. But still big questions on Royale. I feel like Royale obviously did not have the greatest game. It was an interesting one, though, is where maybe he wasn't as brilliant defensively as we all wanted him to be, but I don't think he was as poor as people made him out to be either. I don't think he really was that terrible. There are plenty of moments as well. Zaha is full of pace. He's absolutely rapid in certain moments. He caught up to him in moments, shoved him out of the bounds, showed the physicality. All I can also say is Emerson as well seems to have a bit of that physicality that's set for the Premier League. If he can improve on this performance and kind of keep that, I don't know what that is, that physicality, that he had, that athleticism that he had. I think he's obviously, has the right attributes to be a good Premier League fullback. Again, I think we're reading a lot into that performance, and I really don't think he was by far the worst player on the pitch in that regard. I really don't think there were too many lessons to be learned about Emerson.
No, big up Paul Markey, bringing the best out of Jacko there. You are. Big yourself up, and look, a mic drop moment. You can walk out of the door and come back in again in a few minutes. Big yourself up, my man. Really appreciate the support. Brian C says, Lord and points, Winks and Davies no longer play the youth and new signings, need more creativity, need to change setup. Yeah, look, I don't want to see Winks or Davies start ever again for Tottenham. I'll be honest. People can call me harsh all they want. I got criticism, or well, not criticism, but people were lettering me for having a go at Winks yesterday and just pointing out that if he plays, it's not going to be a good day. Look, we need to wake up and start learning our lessons. We can't keep putting these guys out there and expecting different results to happen. It's not going to change. Some of these guys, look, even though Winks wasn't the worst player out there today, it's still the point stands that when he plays, we get overrun in midfield. We can never get a grip in midfield. And look, we just end up losing the game as well. Big up, Brian. See, appreciate that, my man. Dark Star G21 says, lessons learned. Use youths and not easy pass and Mr. Catastrophe. if we have less adult players, use youths, they will show fight and passion for the chance. Look, with the Ben Davies thing, I would have actually accepted them mistakes from Amole today. Not Ben Davies. This guy should be chomping at the bit that when he gets his chance, he's ready to come in and he's going to give his very best. That's the only way we're ever going to get somewhere as a club, is that, like, when players do come in, they're ready to take their opportunity. You know what I mean? And when that doesn't happen, eventually complacency will start creeping into your first 11, and that will become a problem. So I'm disappointed with them. I'm so angry. Look, with Winks on the pre-match pump-up, as soon as I seen it, I was devastated. I was gutted. My gut was turning. But I was trying to be positive. I was just saying, look, let's see what you can do. Trying to be positive. And I'm no more. I'm not going to do it just for the sake of doing it. No more with this guy. Jack, what do you want to say to Dark Sunji? Big up for his support, man.
I like Dark Sunji for his faith in the youth. I think this is even showing maybe a little bit in the case of Ben Davies. I would probably rather have put, maybe that Cisse guy or something like that, the 6'7" guy that we had before, maybe instead of Davies. I think he couldn't have done any worse, if you ask me, Cisse as well, like Dark Sunji is saying. He probably would have. Pascazzi as well. They definitely would have shown a bit more passion, probably even a bit more wherewithal when you think about it as well. The other thing I would say to you, Dark Sunji, is Ben Davies, even when he came on, it just didn't seem like he was ready. He even looked a little pale in the face. I don't know, maybe then this is me reading into things a bit too much, but he just actually did not look like he was ready to play in a football match. And you could clearly tell by the way he was playing, he was not ready to play in a football match. And that's just, again, deeply concerning for someone who's been at this club this long, with someone who's been sitting on that bench for this long. You would think that he wouldn't be that shocked, to be brought onto the field, considering he's almost more of a veteran than the rest of the players on that bench as well. And so Ben Davies, for me, I think we've already had plenty of last straws with him, Dark Sunji, especially you, I know. But yeah, definitely the last. And Mr. Catastrophe, Mr. Sabotage. Yeah, absolutely, Dark Sunji. Honestly, no more for me. And I would love to see the youths come in, even Marcondi, just to maybe do a bit of a attacking flair for us. Like I said, Cisse, Pascazzi, just anybody at this point, Dark Sunji, just to replace those two.
No, it is. It's getting unbearable. It's getting unbearable. Big up, Dark Sunji. Really appreciate the support, my man. Let's welcome a few more in, and then we'll get into it. We have HB. We have Josh Wigan. Who else have we got? We got Bob Spur. Big up, Bob Spur. Hope things are well. Dean Webb. Hope things are good with you, Dean. I hope things are good. We have Tempest Fight. We've got Joseph Cattle. We have Ben Dello. Says, don't know why we didn't roll the dice at 1-0 down. We were crying out for an attacking sub. Yeah, look, we're going to get into it. Rob Coyne, commiserations there with Mayo today, my man. Definitely, I'd say you're hurting today, my man, too. Spurs and Mayo losing the All-Ireland. Hope things are good with you, Rob C. Who else have we got? Anyone else that we haven't got
Kev Williams, I think, is here. It's good to see Kev. Yeah, Iazi, there you go.
We have, Kev Williams. Big up, Kev Williams. Hope things are well. Big up. Look, let's get into it. But look, before we do, guys, make sure you do smash that like button on the stream. Make sure you smash the subscribe button on the channel if you're new. The big push for 5K is on. And look, if you feel like skipping the queue, guys, sometimes it can get in hot and heavy. Or if you just want to support the channel, feel free to get in a super chat, lads. It is a great, lads and ladies. It is a great way to help support the channel. And as well, it does help you skip the queue sometimes. Sometimes when me and Jack get into the thick of it, we're really getting on it. The emotions are tugging today after results. Sometimes, we're debating furious. So super chat is the way to shut us up as well. So look, let's get into it, Jacko. Let's start throwing out some of these questions.
Sure, Dave. And, the first one is basically, back to when you were announcing that starting 11, from Twitter when Spurs gave you the starting 11. And the question to you, David, is what was your main concern, maybe when you first saw that starting 11? And do you feel like there was kind of any concerns that you kind of feel like were proven right about? And even with maybe that squad selection that we're talking about, if you were to pick any of the players that were selected today in that starting 11, which one do you think was maybe the biggest mistake in the squad selection for you?
Oh, well, the first one is obvious, Jack. It's there in big capital letters as soon as I seen it. Everyone else's name is in small, and then that's just standing out at me. And, it's Harry Winks. Look, he wasn't the worst out there today. I don't think anyone can really come out with their head held high. He wasn't absolutely atrocious, but I just said yesterday, if this guy plays with the way Conor Gallagher moves around midfield, we're going to be in big, big trouble. And my worst nightmare came, and he played. and we lost again. I said the exact same thing against Pacos de Ferreira. Look, anytime this guy plays, I know a lot of people defend him and everything else, and you hear people say, "Oh, well, look, surely he should do well against Palace." But there's your example. We keep going down this route with some of these same players. I don't ever want to see this guy ever start for Tottenham again. Look, if he would have just put Dele Alli in and kept that midfield, Jack, of Højbjerg, Skip, and Dele Alli, it's been working well. It's been turning over ball all game long in the last 3 games in the Premier League. Why change it today? Why change it today? You're putting in Winks, you're softening up your midfield, right? You're taking a runner out of your midfield that gets forward as well. And you're having 3 lads that just sit back on top of the 2 centre-backs. And then you're looking for your wingers or your full-backs to get forward. But you don't have anyone in the midfield to link up with for your wingers or your full-backs to keep driving forward, to even give that ball on the inside, because none of them were breaking from the midfield today. And look, the thing is, it's just every time Winks plays, we always lose the midfield battle. We always get overrun in midfield. Now, if we would have played Højbjerg, Skip, and Dele Alli, not one of us would be sitting here right now saying, "Oh yeah, we got overrun in midfield today." We wouldn't. We just wouldn't be. But because this guy plays and these same results keep happening, I just don't want to see him start anymore. And the other massive call he got wrong today for me was moving Dele Alli up to left midfield. Yeah. I don't know, what Brian Gill has done to him. Maybe Nuno doesn't like what's that show that your man looks like out of? Yeah, maybe Nuno doesn't like the Big Bang Theory or something like that. I don't know what it is, Jack. But look, for me, this guy should have started today. What he would have done is, not only would he wouldn't have just stuck outside, but would have drifted inside. He would have been picking up that ball. He loves to sit into pockets of space, receive the ball, and make things happen. And he would have done that today. And look, I just don't understand why he didn't make that call. Brian Hill, whenever he came on in the Olympics, Jack, this guy changed games. He played against Pacos de Ferreira twice. The first leg, people were coming out saying, "Yeah, I think he was our best player there today. Even though we were shit, I think he was our best player." And then the second leg, he was our best player. Now, even if he did want to go with Dele Alli and put him out on left wing, put Brian Gill in the middle with Højbjerg and Skip at least. He has a lot more energy. He runs around a lot more, and he will break forward, and he's comfortable on the ball. Stop giving Harry Winks this chance. And managers coming into Tottenham need to realise this. They keep giving Ben Davies and Harry Winks a chance, right? And keep thinking, "Oh, yeah, no, sure, they're here for a reason. They've lasted this long for a reason." I don't know what they're seeing in training with these guys, but it's always going to be to the detriment to them. My thing is right, as a manager now, you have such a short space of time to get things right. And if things you're not getting them right and you can see they're unraveling, you get rid of them and the next manager comes in. But at the end of the day, when you keep giving these guys chance, they're going to keep costing you your job. It's that simple. We've seen it time and time again. When we have to rely on these guys, we're just crap. But the thing is, what frustrates me is we didn't have to rely on them today. Okay, maybe Ben Davies is a bit of a different one. He had to come on. But I'm going to get onto that. But with Harry Winks, the sickening thing is we didn't need to rely on him today.
Did not need to be selected, Dave. And that's where I feel like to answer the question for me too, I think in terms of my squad selection, that's why I think even, like you said, it's not like maybe Harry Winks was the worst player on the pitch, but it's not a coincidence that these losses and these moments have come when Harry Winks has been in the midfield for us. Even if he isn't the worst player on the pitch, it's not a coincidence. It really simply isn't. As well, David, I mean, if we have the midfield that's been working this whole time, which was the Skippy, Højbjerg, and Dele combination, why change it? You don't change what isn't broke. It's always what we've been saying, especially over here as well. And so it just seems like, Nuno just did get this one wrong as well. People are saying, Reguilón got exposed. I think that actually has to do again with, maybe us not playing the simple lineup that we have been, where we play some sort of conventional winger alongside Reguilón that can help him out on that side instead of playing someone like Dele Alli at left wing. I think that would expose someone like Reguilón. It really has just shown that Winks, Skippy, Højbjerg were probably just the wrong midfield combination. Obviously, Skippy and Højbjerg get into that team before Winks does. Obviously, Dele gets in that team before Winks does. So that means you don't select Winks. It's just simple as, and that's the mistake.
Just to ask you another question, just maybe a follow-up question on that, Jack. Do you think that, when Harry Winks comes in, he just makes other players around him worse? Because, look, you look at the Pacos de Ferreira game, right? Other attacking players around him were a lot worse. Today, awful. Awful. Do you think he actually makes these players worse because he's so slow on the ball and he's not, like, even when he does get the ball, sometimes that quick pass that he just doesn't make? Do you think maybe he does make everyone else around him worse? Because he certainly makes the fan base panic.
I think he makes it, it's hard to say, Dave, because even when he doesn't make, let's say, 1 million hospital passes or things like that, he almost, like Darks and G's put it this way, it's almost like 10 versus 11 sometimes then the way he'll play. Because then instead of playing the hospital passes, he'll kind of just be a bit of a Mr. Anonymous in the pitch, where he won't make any passes that are of any consequence, any passes that actually dictate the game, make any impact on the game. He just tries to play safe. As you call him, David, you know, he's Mr. Safe only. He only can play it safe. And I think that's probably why even players might, you know, be made worse. Like you were saying, by Harry Winks, simply because if you're playing with someone that shows absolutely no creativity, no drive in the midfield, he's not a box-to-box midfielder as well, David, which also really hurts him. If he had that box-to-box ability, maybe like a Conte or whatnot, he would probably get selected more, but he doesn't have the box-to-box trait. He doesn't have, you know, the stamina or the wherewithal to be able to do that as well. So you do have to think about it, David. He just has so many things that write against him. And so he's a one-type player. He's a one-part player where he can only do one type of role in a team. And that role that he plays, he's not even very good at. And so it just simply is, yeah, David, I think he makes players worse because you have to cater to Harry Winks. And there's no reason to cater to Harry Winks when it comes to your team. And that's how he probably makes players worse, David, is just by, you know, him not being able to contribute things that maybe other players have, like Dele, you know, contributes to box role, where we know Harry Winks wouldn't be able to do that. And so when we're seeing Hotspur and Skip, players that do Harry Winks' job much better than Harry Winks, why on earth would you need to keep Harry Winks in that field? So I just think he just also, David, when you think about, there was nobody that was able to connect the midfield to the attack. And I think that's also part of the reason, was just Harry Winks is sometimes a huge impediment to that.
100%. And Jack, just another thing as well. Look, for me, like, not only that, but Winks makes us defensively worse. So when you go back and look at the games where you've had a Højbjerg, Skip, and Dele Alli midfield, it's been that hard working that they've actually really helped out the likes of our centre-backs, have really helped out the likes of our full-backs, which has led us to not being exposed so much. Now, today, when you take out one of them hard-working midfielders and put them further up the pitch, which didn't work, and you're putting Winks there, all of a sudden, Skip and Højbjerg are actually starting to be stretched and pulled everywhere, which they shouldn't be. Which means then, when they're being pulled out into positions where they weren't normally going because they had Dele Alli in there helping them or helping get back, then you're talking about you're getting Reguilon stretched and exposed, you're getting Emerson stretched and exposed, and your defence and your centre backs are getting stretched and exposed, and you know it's creating larger gaps, which is making it us easier to play through. So it's a detriment to us, you know, defensively and going forward playing this guy. And that's definitely a lesson to be took from the game. I'm not having any more of it. Lesson learned is we cannot start Harry Winks ever again, and Dele Alli is not a left winger. Bob Spur TV with the super chat. Big up, Bob. Really appreciate it. He says, big love, guys. If we're building for the future, why aren't we giving you a chance? Can't help feeling John and Piscozzi would have done better. Bob, 100%. I fully agree with you.
Yeah.
Look, for me, I know it's a hard one to make in the game, but Jesus, I would have just brought on a Molly. Look, he should have learned with Ben Davies against Pacos de Ferreira. He was absolutely anonymous in that game, in the first leg. Absolutely anonymous. For me, you just bring on a Mole. You know, he was a part of that defence that conceded that goal, which was shocking. You bring on a Mole today and you give him the chance. I'm sick of putting these guys in. But look, Bob, all I can say is I hope Lulo has actually learned the lessons from this. You know, and it's like, right, look, I don't care now. I'm just, if it comes to it, the youth are getting a chance. And that's what I would have done today. But Bob, the thing is, we didn't even need to use John. He could have just kept that midfield three. You know what I mean? He could have kept that midfield three. That's what's so frustrating about it. It's really frustrating, Bob. But Jack, and Piscozzi is a player that he looked so good pre-season. I'd say one of the shining lights from the youths pre-season. And for me, I can't understand, you know, where is he? Where is he? You know, I don't understand it. I'm actually perplexed. And that's a big word for me to use, by the way. So I want a big kudos in the chat for that. But Jack, what's your thoughts on Bob Spurs super chat here?
a really good question, Bob. It's a really good question. It's a hard one to answer as well. We're building for the future via the transfer market, as we probably have seen with, the signings we've made. They're not, all, household name items. They're kind of players for the future. They're all under 24 years old, apart from Galini as well. So you do have to think, yeah, we are building for the future in the transfer market, but it is a bit concerning to see that, we haven't necessarily given some of these younger players maybe enough chances. Even some of the ones we bought, like Brian Hill today, was a perfect opportunity. And as well, like you were saying with the youth here, we can probably give someone like Pescazzi a huge chance in this game, maybe even to come on instead of Ben Davies, to do a job next to Rodon or whatever it could have been. We all know the formation or even the squad selection was wrong from the beginning. Wouldn't have been maybe a bad idea to put someone like Pescazzi in somewhere at least. But yeah, Bob, I think that's a really tough question. I don't know how to have a good answer for it, because Nuno was very famous for using the youth before at the likes of Wolves. So it seems like something he'd be quite familiar with and comfortable with. So I don't have the best of answers for you, Bob, but hopefully maybe it's just him maybe thinking this is their opportunity to prove me wrong, these older players, and maybe this was the final straw for him, and now he can rest assured maybe play a bit younger players. But it's a good question, Bob. I don't have the best of answers for it. I'm not in Nuno's head, unfortunately.
Yeah, big up, Bob. Look, really appreciate the support, my man. I'll be honest, I didn't get time to watch the We Are Talking TV watch along, so I can't really say well done for the watch along, because I don't know what it was like, but I'm sure it was good. You and John Cooper done an excellent job on the fan show, I must say.
Dealing good questions, Dave, in the post-match fan show. He did a full shift, a double shift. So big up, Bob.
Very good job on the fan show, and you fitted in seamlessly as well, Bob. And I'm sure you're going to be doing a lot more with them, so the guys can get to the games. So big up, and you've done yourself proud today, Bob. Dan N says, is Skip A, starting to show cracks in the game, B, having an off day today, or C, still suffering from the knock he picked up, or combo of the three? Look, for me,
I think it's B and C. I think it's B and C.
Yeah, I would say B and C, but I'd also say D. The combination of just having Harry Winks in there just makes everyone else bad anyway. So look, I'm going to go with B, C, and D. Look, having an off day, I would say, yeah, I'll put that down to that. I think he's been pretty phenomenal for the first 3 games. Still suffering from the knock. Yeah, it could be a bit of that. And look, if he still is and he still wanted to go out there, fair play to him. And and then obviously D, Harry Winks just makes everyone else look bad. But Jack, what would you say to Dan M?
I feel like it's hard to answer some of these ones. It's another really good question, I would say, from the Harris Army. But in this case, I would say a lot of our best players, everyone was anonymous. Either, each player, you would probably say their player rating, David, is either atrocious or anonymous. There's not a player. Yeah, there's not even our best players that might deserve something above a 0. You would give them whatever the anonymous rating is. It's just players that kind of just played it around, didn't make huge mistakes to draw attention to themselves, but certainly didn't do anything to also warrant any credit or any, recognition as well. So you'd probably say Skippy is kind of falls in that mark, I would say, for this game. He definitely wasn't the worst player on the pitch by a country mile, but also didn't do anything to maybe distance himself from the rest of the squad and his performance. I would say Hotspur was a bit similar. Hotspur was a bit anonymous, but didn't necessarily do anything too wrong during the game, but definitely wasn't maybe the Hotspur that we would have liked to see. So I would say it's a combination of B and C, and just, everyone was just anonymous or horrible.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. Good analysis there, Jack. Oh, Jack's on fire tonight. But big up, Dan, and really appreciate the support. Timman007 says, guys, really worried on where our goals are going to come from. No backup striker, 0 creativity, and our midfield are all static. Look, with the no backup striker situation, look, at the end of the day, look, everyone knows where I stand on it. If it's not the guy they want, I'm happy to give Dane Scarlett the chance. Look, at the end of the day, Harry Kane was just shit today. There's no hiding from it. Look, the way I see it with Harry Kane is, look, everyone else has got us through the first 3 games, put their body on the line and everything else, put us in a good position. Harry Kane, you're talking about trophies and everything else, but come in and start helping the team kick on. And he done absolutely nothing today. And it's worrying. It's more worrying than that. Wasn't vocal, wasn't bollocking players, wasn't throwing his arms up in the air. He just accepted it. Accepted it. And I'll be honest, that's a killer. I haven't seen Harry Kane do that yet, and it was worrying. It was worrying. Yeah. 0 creativity. Yeah, look, for me, I think if we would have put Brian Gill in, I genuinely believe that would have solved that problem. I genuinely believe it. Just put Dele Alli back in the midfield, put Brian Gill out left, and Brian Gill will solve that problem. If you don't like that option, go to a 4-2-3-1, keep Dele Alli out on the left, put Brian Gailey in a cam, in the free floating role, and that'll solve the problem. I really do think this guy is the answer to the problem. I really do. Our midfield static, very static today, very static. Jack, anything you want to say to Tim, man?
I would just break down, where the goal is going to come from. Tim, man, I think when you think about it that way, you could probably say, listen, like when you look at the starting 11 today, you definitely can make that, inference and say, yeah, where are the goals going to come from apart from Harry Kane and maybe Lucas? We practically were tying our hands behind our back, Dave, with, the players that we could probably, see scoring. There were not too many players in that lineup that we thought would probably score in that game. So that is maybe a way that I see where you're coming from in that, Tin Man. But then I would probably say, in counter to that is, let's think of all the players that were missing, and that would be, or the players that just weren't selected. And again, this does fall on Nuno. This kind of comment I'm about to make, this does kind of maybe fall on Nuno here, but Brian Hill could probably have contributed something. Stevie B is supposed to be able to be stepping up this season and is supposed to be contributing a lot more. We know that Lucas is capable of definitely contributing with a goal. Probably should have at least, maybe deserved a bit more. I think he might have been our best player, despite, again, him not being too fantastic or anything. But Lucas is supposed to come up with goals. Tanguy is another player that's not been selected that also is supposed to come up with goals and assists. And of course, Sonny, the big man next to Kane, that's another one as well. But you do kind of think of all those players. Gio as well is supposed to be coming up with goals or assists. And again, I just mean goals or assists with some of these guys. And I just named, I think, about 4 or 5 players that all weren't selected or were missing for this game. That's 4 or 5 different goal scorers or creators. So that's maybe my answer to you on, where the goal is going to come from. With this many players missing, that is what we're going to fall in line with. We are going to struggle to find the goal scorers. In terms of the backup striker, it's probably that argument is becoming a bit more true than usual. If again, it falls on Nuno. If Nuno is not going to play Dane Scarlett, if Nuno is not going to maybe get through to Harry Kane on what Harry Kane needs to do for the team as well, then yeah, maybe the backup striker becomes more important. But when you have a world-class striker like Harry Kane, you would think that, he would definitely step up a bit more. And maybe since he hasn't, we definitely have a bit of a concern there. And so maybe now then the backup striker looks even more vital. But I wouldn't have made my bets on Harry Kane having a game like this. I'll tell you that. I would not have made that bet. And then the zero creativity and our midfield being all static. I think the midfield is being static just because there's 3 CDMs, if you ask me, Tin Man. But I know a lot of people agree with you. So really nice comment.
Yeah, 100%. Big up, Tin Man 007. Really appreciate the support, my man. And we have this one from Yes Powell, and then we will get into the next one. Yes Powell says, midfield was atrocious. Skip is not fit. Never thought I'd see the day. I was gutted that Dier was out. No creativity in the game. Nuno team selection was bad. Yeah, look, midfield was atrocious today. No hiding it whatsoever. Skip, looked a bit off the pace. Let's be honest about it. But look, I'm not going to throw that on the kid. At the end of the day, he's played 3 great games. Let's see what he does going forward. I'm not going to break too much on the kid. I think he's done well at Tottenham so far. Never thought I'd see the day about about Dier going off. Yeah, look, I'll be honest with you. I was gutted because he's been playing well, and just injury struck at the wrong time, like it always seems to do with Dier. Every time he seems to get a run in the team, bam, injury comes. And look, I wish him a speedy recovery. Actually, I really do. I wish Moon Boots a speedy recovery, and let's get back to full fitness and let's get him back in the team because look, as soon as he went off, kind of capitulated. Look, we were already playing poor enough before that, but when he went off, look, we ended up conceding 3 goals today, and he's been involved in a defence that hasn't conceded yet.
And the glue to it, maybe, especially, we were betting on Dier to be more that glue to our back 4 yesterday, and with him going out that early, but definitely, we saw it all slip away for sure. Definitely the communication was gone. Even a bit of that confidence was gone. It seems like Eric Dier has been carrying a lot of confidence, maybe since Toby has left. Maybe he's kind of thinking he's taking apart that role or trying to step up himself. But yeah, the moment that Dier went off, I'm with you. I was quite shocked that I was scared, fearful, gutted to see Moon Boots go off. So yeah, Paul, definitely. It is. It's a new world. It's a new world.
It is. And no creativity in the game, 100%. One shot all game. Give me a break. Nuno team selection was woeful as well. Big up, yes, really appreciate the support, my man. Really appreciate it. Guys, everyone, make sure you have smashed that like button. And like I said, if you want to skip the queue, make sure you get in a super chat or 2. It is a great way to support. I know not everyone in the world can. I know it's a big, bad world out there. And look, I promise I'll get everyone's comments up as quick as I can for everybody as well. But look, Jack, let's go. Let's go with the next one, my man.
No problem, Dave. And now the next one is going to be, what we were talking about with Eric Dier. And, while you go through the comments, I'm just going to give maybe my own answer to this
Yep.
question, but I am going to read the question aloud to the Harris Army here. Hugo Lloris, right? We all knew, with that moment, it seemed like, it was some type of miscommunication, or even just Lloris just let it go a little too far on that that rollout, that pass that he gave to Dier there that led to our center back's injury. Do you guys maybe bring this down to like a communication? Would you break it down as just a communication between Eric Dier and Hugo? Or do you feel like there is actually someone maybe to really blame for it? In this case, for me, I actually do think that Hugo did throw it way too far in front of Moon Boots. It seemed like, Eric Dier was ready for it. You just didn't think that he would, probably toss it 6 feet ahead of him in the way that he did. And so me personally, I'm going to say it actually wasn't as much of a miscommunication. I do really think it was an error on Hugo's part. But everybody, let me know in the comments, was it a miscommunication between the two, or do you feel like maybe there is someone to blame in that department? But basically, then it kind of leads to this. David, do you think that, Crystal Palace actually pressed us higher defensively up? Do you feel like they were actually pressing higher up the pitch defensively than we even thought they would in stats with Jack, or even maybe Nuno thought? Do you think that's something we didn't anticipate? Or do you feel like they didn't even press up that high? We just kind of gave the ball away that much?
No, look, it's do you know what? I wouldn't say they pressed us that high. I say as the game went on, but it comes back to what I was saying in the pre-match show. If you give these guys any sort of inkling or a sniff that there's goals there for them, they will just come at you. And that's exactly what they've done. They just took the brakes off and just went at Tottenham. That's all they've done today, Jack. You give Palace a sniff, they will come at you. And that's what they've done today. And the longer the game went on, they were pressing. Look, with the Dier thing, look, if the pass was to his feet, he wouldn't have been under any pressure. And the problem is right, it's just, I know people might say this is a bit harsh, but just for me, right, if you take shortcuts, no matter what you do from top to the very bottom, these mistakes will eventually filter out on the field. Look, we didn't deal with the players going to Argentina properly, which led to us being short at centre backs. Then you have Hugo Lloris just over putting too much power on the throw. A throw that you've seen him make 10,000 times in his Tottenham career and get every single one of them spot on. This one, he just overruns it. But it's at a time where we just don't need this stuff to be happening. And this is the problem. Look, if you take shortcuts at board level, you take shortcuts in the transfer market over the years, you take, shortcuts in training, you take shortcuts in management hiring. And look, I'm not saying that, Nuno out. Don't get me wrong. Don't ever think that I'm still behind Nuno. But you take shortcuts in every single thing you do. This is the result of what happens. Is stupid stuff like this on the pitch that should just never be happening. And it's always Tottenham Hotspur. Like, no matter what we seem to do, Jack, we just seem to add to our own downfall every single time. We seem to add to the problems. But look, it's also a mentality thing. Like, these are the games where, okay, we have all these injuries, players that can't play. So, go out, control this game, get the job done in a nice, ordinary fashion, and get the fuck out of there, right? And we couldn't even do that. And this is where you're looking for the likes of, this is why I'm so pissed off. The likes of Kane, Hugo Lloris, Eric Dier, these guys that have been here for years, to step up in these games, bring the unity. Okay, we're a wounded animal, but as a wounded animal, we're still a team. We're going to fight for each other. We're going to go out there and get the points. And it didn't happen. It was disjointed from the very beginning right to the very end. And it's very disappointing. And when you do them things and you're not feeling up for it and you're taking these shortcuts, then mistakes happen. And that was avoidable today. It's sickening to see, Jack.
I feel like, on the Crystal Palace, pressing, I actually feel like they pressed a bit higher up than I actually gave them credit for, especially in the case of that Hugo moment, David. I'm not sure if you agree with me here or the Harris Army might agree with me, but even in that moment where Ayew put in that nasty challenge on Eric Dier, it did seem like, though, they were actually kind of preparing for that type of distribution from Lloris. So it almost felt like a bit of a trap or like kind of a decoy or something like that played by the Palace team, because then there were other moments when Lloris was trying to do the exact same thing, David, to one of our center backs to try to build out the back. And every time the Palace players were just hovering right there, just willing to, make sure that if the center back made too big of a touch or Lloris did the same exact mistake as last time, they'd be able to pounce on it. And it did seem like maybe there are these moments where it's possible that Crystal Palace were, just coached into pressing us in the right situations to win the ball back. With how much they were dominating the ball, David, with how much possession they had, I personally think that just shows that, Crystal Palace were definitely pressing us a lot more than we ever thought they would, especially the likes of Conor Gallagher. Kouyaté would push really high up the pitch and take out a guy, James MacArthur as well. They just really won the midfield battle, Dave. I really do think they did. And as well, Jordan Ayew was pressing all over the pitch, throwing reckless challenges everywhere. But you do just have to think about it. I didn't actually anticipate that in the stats with Jack. I would admit I did not anticipate them pressing us that high or pressing us that intensely even.
But you know what it was, though, Jack? It was the way the referee was letting them make them crunching tackles was giving them more encouragement, because when the referee could get away with it, when the referee was letting them away with murder the way he was, that just encourages them to keep pushing up higher, keep smashing our players, because there's no consequences for it. Look, honestly, he should have been brought off in handcuffs and maybe charged with a bit of fraud today, because that was a disgraceful performance by him. Look, it doesn't help that our players weren't up for the fight. Jesus Christ, if you're going to get rattle them back. You know what I mean? If the ref isn't going to protect you, then you have to protect yourself. And, look, it was just and that allows them to gain more momentum. Look, I agree with you. Maybe it is something that Vieira's seen. But, especially the first one where Dier got injured. If Dier would have took his touch, he would have got that pass off. Ayew wouldn't have got near him. He even got the pass off with the loose ball, because Dier was running and then stretching, and then he ended up, a collision happening. Well, if that ball was just simply to his feet, right, he takes a touch and he's gone. But Dier wasn't even expecting it. So was there even any communication?
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. It's just typical Tottenham. As soon as one thing goes wrong, look for the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth, because it'll all just snowball. It's all a snowball effect. It's really.
Feel like, before we get to the super chat, just to maybe answer this question for, because it's all about lessons learned, right, David? Do you feel like that? I mean, for me, even, kind of analyzing Crystal Palace and whatnot, do you feel like this was a bit of a lesson learned that, if they can get away with these challenges, just the fact that maybe we just didn't give them enough credit for how physical they might be, for how forward thinking they might be in their press or their defense, even as organized as they looked as well? Did we just maybe not give them enough credit, or even Nuno gave them enough credit for it? Or are we just that poor?
I'll be honest with you. I think it just came down to they wanted it more, Jack. I'll be honest with you. Because look, from what I've seen over the past 3 games, our physicality wasn't a problem. Wasn't a problem. We were getting stuck in. Today, we just didn't want it. We just didn't want it. Okay, they were putting in bad challenges, but then all we were doing was rolling around looking at the ref. But there comes a point, Jack, when the referee is refusing to protect you, you have to start protecting yourself. Something has to switch up here. And for me, I think the lesson learned is basically, look, with the Dier and the whole Hugo Lloris thing is, okay, give Palace a bit more respect. Don't think you can just aimlessly throw a ball to Dier without even calling them and then putting too much and expect them to deal with it. You need to cut them things out. But look, lesson learned today is on that situation with the Dier Lloris thing is just stop taking shortcuts and just execute things the way you've been taught since you're 5 years of age, since you started playing the game.
Yeah, definitely, David. I think that's good put. Well put. Lionheart 1066 saying, how many times are we going to let Dr. Evil fool us? It's time we let him know in the next home game. Yeah, honestly, probably there might be a lot more Levy shouts than maybe Levy might be expecting, considering this last loss as well. I even saw on the Instagram post, lots of Levy mentions from the Instagram post from Spurs today. You might be onto something there, Lionheart. Probably, the fans quickly turn. They quickly turn. They can quickly sour. And as well, Levy, he's not ever going to be exempt from criticism. To be honest, I could care less, what he receives from the Tottenham fans, or I couldn't care less what he receives from the Tottenham fans at that next home game. But that'd be interesting, Lionheart. That would be interesting if we start to maybe hear the Levy out murmurs being sung again from the crowd.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see what the atmosphere is like at the next home game. Be very, very interesting. That's for sure. That's for sure. Look, there's always going to be, and rightly so, there's always going to be people that are going to, look, this is the way it is. There's always going to be people that will make their voices heard, and credit to them. I applaud them and I'm proud of them. But then you're also going to have other people who are just going to be there to support the team and don't want anything to do with Daniel Levy. But it'll be very interesting to see what especially after the back of this 3-0 humbling that we got today. It'll be very interesting to see what atmosphere. Because look, the crowd might still be pissed off with the players as well.
Yeah.
So be very, very interesting to see what happens. Lionheart 1066. But great super chat, my man. Really appreciate it. There's over 200 people watching right now. Guys, make sure you keep smashing that like button. Make sure you keep smashing the subscribe button. I hope you're enjoying this bit of a different match reaction today. Just more of a lessons learned rather than just sitting here with me going off on one.
We had our emotions earlier, after the game, David. I'm a bit, I'm kind of thinking, just a bit more tactically, just kind of figure out how, where we went wrong and whatnot. I'm honestly, almost exhausted just out of, I would say a bit of sadness as well from the defeat, David. Just really can't be asked even for, to rant as much about some of these players anymore. As you even saw in the, in the watch along, I had moments of silence as well, where I just couldn't even fathom what was going on the pitch as well. But moving on to the next question, everybody, this might be a bit light, a bit more of a positive one, for another lesson learned. And this can still be a lesson learned despite it being a positive one. And I feel like, David, we're kind of going also a sequence of events of how the match went, right? When Eric Dier was taken off, he was replaced by Joe Rodon. Joe Rodon, a lot have said, actually, it was a lot better than maybe people thought or even people realized. And so really the question is, David, and I'm going to put it in the chat right now, do you feel like maybe Joe Rodon is actually more reliable than we thought? Is he more reliable than we give him credit for? Is even his reliability almost an underrated attribute? Because it seems like when we're thrown into the shit, Dave, when everything hits the fan, it seems like he's a guy that can kind of hold it all together to a degree. Do you feel like that's true about Rodon? Is that something we kind of forgot about or maybe didn't give him enough credit for?
Do you know what, Jack? I was guilty of this as well, especially last season, is just putting my trust in him from the very start. But look, with this guy, I'll be honest with you, all he's done is earn that trust. All he's done is earn any manager's trust.
In the worst of situations, when he could easily fail like the rest of the others, Dave.
Jack, last year, I would say he was our best centre-back, right? Every time he played, I knew what you were going to get out of Rodon. He's going to put his balls on the line, and he's going to do the very best he can. For me, I actually rate him as a defender. I'll be honest with you, I do. Now, look, he obviously had this unlucky start, under Nuno, injured. What can he do? He was just, and we actually spoke about this before the season, Jack. We were saying, Jays, it's unlucky, you know what I mean? Because he just found himself, he had to wait ages under Jose to get in the team. Got into the team, was our best centre-back, looked like our most accomplished centre-back, looked like our most experienced centre-back, and looked like the only centre-back that was willing to try last season. Then Nuno comes in, changing managers to do it all over again. Then he gets injured, and now he's back. Look, for me, I think this guy is super reliable. Look, you bring on, put it this. It's easy to weigh up today, Jack, and I'll tell you why. So they're both from the same country. Ben Davies, Joe Rodon, right? You bring on Ben Davies, 2 mistakes for 2 of the goals. Rodon, any mistakes for any of the goals?
Let's remind you too, David, that Ben Davies came on in the 60th minute. Around the 60th minute as well. And Joe Rodon came in practically the first 15 minutes. Which is, if you ask me, I think that's a lot harder to do. I've never been in that situation, of course, never been in that situation, especially at the professional level, of course, a top flight level. But I would think that it would be a lot more intimidating, David. It'd be a lot harder to, see maybe your best center back like Moon Boots go out and then have to replace him and even be that kind of even wiser head in the midfield or in the defense. He has to also be the one that's dominant in the air next to Tanganga. You do kind of think about it. Probably was a bit more challenging or he probably had greater chances to mess up in the way that Davies did. But Davies had only been on the pitch for like 15 minutes and he actually already gave away a penalty. Soon after, he gave away another goal. You just think about it. It wasn't like Ben Davies was the one that was subbed on in the 15th minute. It was Rodon, and Rodon ever since then, I don't think he's the most glamorous defender by any means. He's not a Rafael Varane or a Sergio Ramos or anything, but he just doesn't make any of the mistakes that a lot of the rest of the defenders do. He always knows to clear his lines. He doesn't ever even do it in the best way possible, but he just knows how to think clean. He knows just how to risk manage even well, Dave. He knows how to damage control. He knows how to just maybe get the team through the match, no matter how ugly. And that's why I do rate Joe Rodon. And a lot of people probably feel the same way, where his reliability is a bit underrated.
Jack, look, for me, I know they play similar positions, but his time at Tottenham so far is a bit like Gareth Bale's, in all honesty. Like, until Gareth Bale was coming in under Harry Redknapp, Harry Redknapp kind of changed his position and Gareth Bale kicked on. He was kind of like in and out of the team, different managers trusting him, this, that, and the other. Oh, it's kind of like the same with Joe Rodon, and I hope he does push on in this team and really thrive, and I think he will. So I think lesson learned on that question is, we need to have a lot more faith in Joe Rodon. A lot more faith in Joe Rodon. 100%.
And he's come in, and the last lesson about it, everybody, he's come into the team when we've, have had no hope, when everything just seems bleak. And it seems like he has a good knack to not let it get to him. He doesn't have a knack where he doesn't get phased. He doesn't let maybe the rest of the attitudes of the team bring him down or anything. That's what I would say about Joe Rodon. Even his mentality seems to be a bit reliable as well.
Yeah, no, it is. He's solid mentally. Solid mentally. Russian Bear says, today showed me that Son is our main man. Yeah, huge loss today. Huge loss today. Main man, look, we'll wait and see. Stats won't say that from last year, but I do get what you're saying. Look, for me, it's not even about who's the main man. Look, for me, you just need the two of them. You need Kane and Son. You need them both. They link up brilliant with each other. Big up, Russian Bear. Appreciate the super chat, my man. David in with the big one. Big up, David. Really appreciate that. Name of champs, name of kings, name of winners as well. Absolutely love it. A name of Granny, a name of many great men before us. He says, great watch along, boys. Woke up at 4 a.m. to see Wink start. Dier was doing well, controlling the line. Look, I'm going to break this down into 2 segments. So we'll take the start. First of all, on the watch along, really appreciate it. We've done some good numbers. I really wasn't expecting it. We were expecting 20, 30 of the hardcore Harris armies just to sit in there and watch it with us. Look, with a watch along with We Are Tottenham TV and Expressions going at the same time, we done decent enough, and I'm happy with how we done, guys. So, look, bar the result. Thank you very much, Dave. I really appreciate it. Look, waking up at 4 a.m. Look, you probably need to give me or Jack your number, so next time, you can set your alarm for 4 a.m. We'll just text you if one of them are starting. If they are, then you can just go back and sleep, Davey. No need. Me and Jack will just send you the message. Look, go back, get some snooze. You see the sheet with the snoozy things. That's when you go to sleep. Dier was doing well, controlling the line. Yet Dier was doing well. It was a shame that happened. Davies, absolutely useless. Am I surprised? Nope. No creativity. So true. Never replaced Eriksen. No, look, we haven't, but I do think Brian Gil-Messi, I think given the chance, he will do that job. Tanguy Gio supposed to be that. Hugo was poor. Yeah, great message, Davey. Jack, do you want to say anything to?
He's saying a lot of the right things. David. And all I would say to our David here is that I really appreciate the support for the watch along. Like David had said, I really thought it was just going to be kind of the Harris Army hardcore followers that were just going to be watching us and enjoying it with us. Unfortunately, it was not a game to be enjoyed. But David, we really do appreciate the support, as well as everyone else that showed up for the watch along. Was absolutely insane. The numbers that were there, and just the amount of people that seemed to come to us, David, to get their thoughts, their emotions in, it was quite insane. It was quite insane. And we do appreciate you guys tuning in, considering the circumstances. It really did bring us down.
It took us by surprise. I want to say a massive thank you to all you guys. It's a massive thank you. I really do appreciate it. Just quickly before we do get on to the next super chat, just take this comment. This is why you subscribe to the Irish Hotspur. I need to subscribe to the Irish Hotspur. Wink starting alerts, 100%. I'll put you all in a nice list, and as soon as it happens, just like, right, guys, you see the sheet with the snoozy emoji, off you go back to sleep. No point.
Not fit for human consumption when Winks is on the pitch. That's what I would say. It's not fit for the eyes. And I would just say further to David, I would just say, on legendary comment, also Dan and Joe. Good to see you, Joe, legend. And I would just say, never replaced Eriksen. Yeah, you're right. Gio and Tanguy are supposed to be the ones that are supposed to replace them. And then Brian Hill, definitely like David was saying earlier, I feel like he could be maybe a replacement for Eriksen. Hard to say with Eriksen. You have to replace the assists and then also the set piece delivery. Maybe Sonny is replacing the set piece delivery to a degree. It's just where's that creativity and the assist going to come from is really the big question. We have 3 players that should be capable, but apparently, they're not fit. They're not really showing up for us. It's all a bit confusing. It's all hard to watch as well. But David, I really do appreciate it. Really do appreciate you. And also, I do agree, Hugo was a bit poor, but hopefully he'll turn it around.
Legend, Davey. Legend. Really appreciate that, my man. And Dark Song G, Rodon is class with experience. I said he was ready.
He did. Yeah, I remember actually he wanted Rodon to start for this one. Yep. He actually did. That's a good. Wow. Dark Song G, like I said, if I could, I would sooner hire you to sit next to Nuno than even myself, Dark Song G. I'm not even kidding. Especially with the way that he values the youth and the youth academy, Dark Song G. I just think he would be a perfect influence, to Nuno's ear. Even more the faith that he has in some of these players and the resilience that Dark Song G shows not to play Mr. Anonymous Mr. Catastrophe and Winks. Honestly, Dark Song G, really, I would hire you in a minute to be alongside Nuno.
100%, 100%. Big up, Dark Sunday. Really appreciate that, my man. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much. Guys, you want to be like Dark Sun G, Davey, and many that's trailblazed before him, Russian Bear, people like that. Guys, get the super chats in. It is a great way to help support the channel. And keep smashing that like button, guys. Absolutely amazing numbers in right now. But look, Jacko, let's move on to the next one, my man.
Another one, Dave, and this is where we kind of move into maybe that creative aspect of the field, and we saw Dele Alli supposedly playing as a left winger, but really, where did Dele Alli play? What was his role? What was his real position today? To answer that, I just feel like Dele Alli was basically playing some version of like maybe what Brian Hill would have been doing at left winger. It's just the thing with Dele is that he just simply doesn't have the mobility or the range of movement that obviously Brian Hill has. Brian Hill, of course, doesn't have maybe the physicality, the strength, the defensive output that probably Dele Alli has, but he definitely has the ability to get in behind, beat his man, quick 1-2s, just getting the ball up the pitch with his own two legs without getting caught up to, David as well. I felt like Dele every single time he just gets caught up to way too easily, or he's not even really willing to sprint with the ball. Lots of players, I will say, is quite shocking sometimes how they'll have tons of acres of space in front of them and the lack of urgency to push the ball forward ahead so that players don't catch up to you or, maybe recover is actually quite shocking. I think Dele is very guilty of that sometimes, I will admit. But for me personally, I thought he was playing some hybrid version of a left wing 10. Maybe when it was when we were kind of in a defensive mode, he was playing a bit, kind of a bit deeper, almost like another extra kind of center mid, you might say, playing out there. But really, I thought he was absolutely useless on the left wing. I would have rather him just been stuck right in the middle and see how he does there. But really, he put in another solid defensive shift as per usual. But what should we really be, thinking about his impact creatively, David? Like, what can we actually think about Dele? Has he really lost his ability to go forward? What can he do to even, reignite that? Because it seems like, the Delis have switched. Now we got this box to box defensive Dele, and the creative, inspiring genius Dele has almost kind of waned and gone away. What has really happened to Dele, David, and how can we maybe bring that more creative Dele back into things?
Do you know what, Jack? I'm so glad you brought this up because this is something I do want to attack. But we'll just take this super chat here from Lionheart 1066. And he just says, good shout. Rodon played well, but has never been given a chance. He put in another one here just to correct it. You didn't even have to do that. Big yourself up.
Lionheart, wow, very nice.
He says, but has never been given a chance. We have to blood our young players. Example, one fight. Look, one fight. I'm raging we sold him. To be honest with you. Look, I actually, I'm a bit sick. I like one fight. Look, you could see that there was a player in there. He got stuck in. He was just a bit careless on the ball in some of the defensive positions at time. But look, probably could have done with him in around the squad this year. But look, Rodon, I actually think he's good. And look, I think he will get his chance. I just think, again, unfortunate. I think it's going to be one where he's going to have to sit and wait in the wings. But when the chance comes, I guarantee you he'll take it. Guaranteed.
Yeah, Lionheart, I would love to see Rodon come in. I just feel like, he's proving himself time and time again. Like I said, when shit hits the fan, it seems like Joe Rodon just has, he's just the coolest cucumber in the stadium, David. It seems like when the rest of his teammates are absolutely in almost like catastrophic mode, savaging the team, sabotaging the team, you might say. He seems like he's the guy that can still hold it all together. There's even a moment, right, when it was 3-on, they still scored, right? At Sonata Ward still scored, but there was that moment where, Joe Rodon, he was practically the only man back, when it was that 2-on, or whatever it was, like 2-on-3 situation. He still was communicating, pointing, telling players where to go. He didn't look that frustrated. It just seems like a guy that just, even when it's, looking bleak, when it's looking horrible, he's just someone that just is willing to get stuck in no matter what. And he knows that's his job, is to get stuck in. And it seems like, other players, you do have to remind them that is their job. Whereas with Rodon, he just knows how to do it. He's not the most glamorous, like I said, when it comes to it, but certainly is solid and very reliable. And we're learning that more and more.
Yeah, 100%. Big up Lionheart 1066. Really appreciate the super chat, my man. Top man. And again, thank you so much for coming in and correcting again with the super chat. You really didn't have to do that, my man. Appreciate it. Look, in terms of Dele Alli, look, for me,
what can you do to increase his creativity, David? How do we bring out the creative Dele? How do we even get Dele to produce something when he's going forward more? Because, of course, he's putting in a fantastic shift defensively, but at this rate, he's almost putting too much work defensively and isn't putting enough, going forward, David. How can he turn that around?
Do you know what, Jack? I just think he's lost it. I just think he's lost it. Look, he spent too long out with the team under Jose Mourinho, I think. Look,
he's lost even that ability. He's lost some of the ability, you even think? Some of that creative ability?
Yeah. Not just the ability, but like, you know, maybe the sharpness, maybe the vision, the brain. You know, I just think he's lost that. I think maybe he is better suited at Tottenham now, just being one of them box-to-box midfielders working hard. Because, look, even when he was going forward, look, Dele Alli's best years, it wasn't really his creativity, Jack. It was always running in beyond Harry Kane, given that second striker option in the box. That was when Dele Alli was at his best. And look, the only way you're going to get that back is if you play him playing that same position. If not, which it seems to be we are going away from that, the only other option is to play him the way we're playing him. But left wing certainly is not. He doesn't have, for me, the pace. I don't think he has the skill either to be a left winger, to be honest with you. But look, for me, I don't know, Jack. I'll be honest. I think he's lost it, and I don't think he will get it back. And look, some would say, did he have it in the first place? Because, like I said, he was acting more like a second striker than a creator. Because even when he played in that position, Eriksen was playing out wide, and he was more or less being a creator from out wide. So, look, for me, yeah, I think them days of him playing up there are finished. And look, he isn't not new to the box-to-box midfielder role, because he did play deeper when he first came into Tottenham under Pochettino. But look, you know, he does need to produce something going forward, because he is clearly that attacking midfielder for us in that role. He's the one that breaks out. He's the one that breaks forward. And for me, but look, I think it starts with Dele Alli. He has to learn to be able to take the ball in, Jack, get it under control, and make sure of his passes. A lot of the times, against Watford, he was very, very sloppy, especially in the attacking third. And until he gets that out of his game, I don't think he's going to improve it.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there, Sorry, David. But yeah, with Dele, you know, I would just say he just has to move a bit more centrally. Maybe, like you said, play off the striker a little bit. That would be the only thing I say that could possibly change his creative output. Maybe create, you know, and also the industriousness definitely needs to continue. But as well, though, it's almost like he's made too much of an adjustment towards his industrious, you know, box-to-box kind of nature. It's almost like he sacrificed a bit of that creative, you know, ability to go forward, even that want to go forward, that drive to go forward. He's even seemed to have lost a bit of that spark, I would say. But Dele, I think he's putting in great shifts defensively. To be honest, though, he probably, for me, was one of the worst players on the pitch, though, I might actually add. So I'm not going to give him too much credit at the same time. But I also don't want to read too much into this performance again, just because I do think Dele's been actually pretty fantastic until now. So I am going to say Dele, definitely maybe the left wing isn't his position, but let's see if he can do something better, maybe with the normal midfield three that we're used to, or something, yeah, again, a bit more centrally and next to Kane. But moving on, everybody, we went into halftime possibly lucky to still be 0-0 with Crystal Palace, but did we feel like we tried anything different in the second half? That is going to be the question for everybody in the Harris Army. It is kind of maybe what Sean Snow brought up earlier, where it felt like we went from plan A to plan A to plan A to plan A. And I want to just know from the Harris Army, do you feel like we tried something different? Did it look like we tried something different? Of course, we only know so much maybe what was said in the with Nuno in the back room or in the dressing room, but I feel like there actually wasn't even anything attempted at all, clearly because there were no substitutions made. That's maybe a big indicator. But even then, you know, it's felt like Dele didn't really move at all. Felt like there's just nothing actually changed about the game. Maybe Nuno felt a bit content with the 0-0, felt like he could probably just scrape one and kind of walk on out of there a bit lucky. But I don't know, David, it just felt like we didn't try anything different, if you ask me. But I could totally be wrong. And so let me know, Harris Army. Did we feel like we tried anything different at halftime? Because we went into halftime 0-0. It's almost like you get a clean slate, you know, the right press, you know, the right talk from Nuno, the right talk from the managers, from the training staff and whatnot can change the game entirely, can, you know, flip the game on its head. But it felt like we just walked into the second half in the same kind of dogged form and the same type of style, the same type of tactics and whatnot, and only made it a lot worse, only gave Crystal Palace even more encouragement. So for me, David, I feel like we actually didn't try anything different in the second half. What about you?
No, look, there was nothing, Jack. Look, if he wanted to try something second half, he would have made that change at halftime. Bryan Hill on, you know, Harry Winks off, put Dele back into where he's been playing, bring Bryan Hill on, and you're going to change the game. He didn't make one attacking change whatsoever to try and affect that game. And for me, look, Jack, he was happy to get out of there with a point. With all the injuries and some of the players missing, it seems like to me he was very content to try and get out there with a point. It's not like we went for the game at one stage whatsoever today. Even when Tanganga gets sent off, right, and it's still what was it? It was still nil when Tanganga got sent off, right? Okay, rejig it, but rejig it in a way that you still make an attacking substitution, because when it's not working the way it wasn't, with Harry Kane not linking up with anybody, Lucas Moura trying to do his thing out isolated on the right-hand side, absolutely nothing coming down the left-hand side, which is shocking because Joe Ward is shit. And to not even test him all game, it's absolutely shocking, right? So when it's not working like that, going forward, and we're just handing over possession like we were today, make a change to start making the ball stick. Do something to start making the ball stick up there to relieve the pressure at the back. And he didn't do it. Not at half-time and not during the game. In fact, I actually think we got worse straight after half-time. I think it got a lot worse after half-time. So I'll question what was said in that dressing room at half-time. Was there any tactical changes? Because we were absolutely shocking. Look, he got it wrong with the starting lineup. He had another chance at halftime to do something and got it wrong there again. No changes at halftime whatsoever. Nothing.
I think this is the question that really has to do most with Nuno, right? As much as the players, we might say could have failed him, maybe even failed, the plan. I still feel like, Nuno has to take huge responsibility for it. And I think that especially showed in the second half, because Nuno, right, he can get it wrong in the first half, especially if he's going to, get out of it with just 0-0. We don't have to slate him for if he gets something wrong, especially if he's still able to pull out 0-0 by the first half. But then it's like we said, the second half, David, it's your opportunity to just maybe fix everything that you got wrong, especially as a coach, to fix everything you got wrong. Maybe you do realize as a coach, that was the bad idea to put Winks, alongside Skip and Højbjerg. This is what I'll do next time. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't put Dele at the left wing. Maybe this isn't the right time to play X player, whatever it may have been. He felt like he just didn't. None of those thoughts went through his head. He didn't maybe want to make those decisions right away. Didn't want to do something too drastic, possibly. I don't know. I mean, I can only speculate what was going through Nuno's head. But this question, I think it has to do with, lessons learned with Nuno. Nuno's lessons learned for me is that he needs to find out, a way to make changes at halftime that can actually change the game, because you can't expect at all to play the same way and get a different result. If you're going to play the same way and have such an atrocious half, you're not going to get a good result. It just doesn't make sense. So Nuno, all I can say, the lesson learned for you is definitely think about maybe, realizing you could have gotten something wrong there and just maybe face up to it, own up to it, and just do something different in the second half. That's all I would say, because it felt like there's nothing that was attempted, if you ask me, David. But moving on, everybody, we're going to the last few questions of the show here in terms of lessons learned. Moving on to that red card, David. And this one I think is going to be a bit of an interesting one, where we all loved, that scuffle that Japhet had with Zaha. I think we all were absolutely loving it, even relishing over it as well. But do you feel like after he got that yellow card, do you think there should have maybe been someone, an experienced head, another player, a calm, composed head, maybe like a Harry Kane? Obviously, Moon Boots was off the pitch, so maybe it would have been Eric Dier that would have calmed him down, or would have told him, listen, you have to be careful now. Do you feel like that's what needed? Maybe that's a lesson learned, David, is Japhet just, is he maybe a bit reckless, or does he just actually need maybe a wiser head just to tell him, listen, have to be careful now, you can't just go diving into the next one? Or do you feel like it's just something that, was going to happen no matter what?
He's an absolute nutter, Jack. Look, we've seen him clatter people already this season. He just lives for it, right? He absolutely loves for it. But what I will say is, look, I think the kid will reflect on it. And for me, look, it's a London derby. We've 2 more to go. He should be back for the North London derby. And look, hopefully it is lesson learned. Look, to be honest with you, I'm not going to berate on the kid for this, because
that's what I'm saying, David. So is it more the other players? That's what I was going to say. Is maybe the other players that can tell him, like, Japhet, be careful now, like, because they even know him. They probably even know like his tendency to do this. That's what I guess I'm saying, Dave. Is also he was even our best center back. You probably say as well. He was absolutely playing immense And you just maybe have to think somebody like a Harry Kane, maybe a Hojbjerg too, could at least say to him, you have to calm down. You have to realize, have to relax. John Moss is going to be looking all over you. He's going to be keeping his eye on you. You just have to wait a little while. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, Kane should have walked over, grabbed him, pulled him aside and said, look, you need to calm down. You're going to cost us. You're going to get sent off. Lloris could have done it. Lloris could have came over and said, look, Tanganga, you need to calm down. You're going to get sent off. Even when he's still mad dogging after the incident for the next couple of minutes, Højbjerg, someone with a bit more experience. Look, Emerson's only into the club. He's not going to do it. Rodon's coming into the team. He's not going to do it. Reguilon, he's not going to do it. Skip, Young, he's not going to do it. So you're looking for a Kane. You're looking for a Lucas even. You're looking for a Lloris. And you're looking for a Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Someone to go over and just say to the kid, get it into his head. You get sent off, you're going to cost us the game. And they didn't. They didn't. And it's disappointing. It's disappointing. Look, especially Harry Kane. He's the leader out there right now. Him and Hugo, the two leaders. One of them should have spoke to him. Look, the second one wasn't even a yellow, shouldn't have been sent off. But look, it's a lesson for the kid to learn. And I'd rather him learn these lessons now than further down the line where it's going to cost us the most. And I do think he's the sort of player that will learn from it. But what I will say is I absolutely adore and love the fight that he puts in. Jack, we've seen it. It's just a tackle after tackle. He loves ripping man up. He absolutely loves it. With Zaha, he didn't even go for the ball, Jack. He didn't look, let's be honest, he didn't even go for the ball. He just seen the man and he was like, you know what, I'm a bit jealous. Skip's got one, Højbjerg's got a tackle in. I haven't. Boom, took him out. Right? Then Zaha gets up. I'm the big man, I'm the older man, I have the experience. And then and Jaffe's just there in his ear, mad dogging him. Absolutely.
Picking him up, David. Picking him up and, putting him even as well,
I love to see the fight. I love it. And I'm not going to berate him for it. I don't care. You can say what you want about me in the comments about it. I don't care. I am not berating him for this because one thing I've asked for all last season was people to show the fight for the jersey. And he done that today. And the reason why he done that to Zaha is because he didn't put the ball out when Lucas Moura was down. And that's what we need. Fight for the jersey. Look, after he's done he's fighting, then he needs to calm down. But that's a lesson learned, 100%. But I love it, and I'm not going to pin him down for it.
No, I don't think we should. And the other thing I would say to him as well is just like, it still showed, David, when things were tough, when things were down, he still was showing the passion clearly. And maybe, it was said, are we missing the passion in this game? Is the intensity gone? Felt like, with what Jaffet just did there is like you kind of were thinking to ourselves, maybe it isn't gone. Maybe we're just playing that awful at the moment. And then once Jaffet got sent off, we just knew it was going to be a lot harder for us, especially, I would say, if Jaffet were able to stay on the pitch those 90 minutes, it's possible he could have motivated the squad, led by example. You might say you can definitely be a leader by example for fighting for the badge. So I would say very unfortunate to see Jaffet go. He would have been a really good influence on the squad and possibly could have even kept us in it despite how horrible we were playing. He's one of those guys that could have maybe kept it to 0-0.
And Jack, this is just a good point here from Thomas James Smith. If Jaffa was clever, he could have got Zaha sent off because he did. He grabbed him by the neck. If I was Zaha, I would have went down and I would have made them look at the incident. And look, that's maybe another little lesson that he can learn. Look, that all comes with experience. When something like that happens, you make the most of it. You roll around, you make a meal of it. And that's something he can learn from and take from that as well. That's a good point, Thomas James.
Probably he took that as as a provocation, Dave. He just had to he just took that as like a spark, just to get in that scuffle with Zaha. You're right, David. Maybe he's too eager to get into those little scuffles. But yeah, you're right, Dave. Maybe he just has to take a book. Take a page out of maybe Emerson's book. Maybe take a page out of Emerson's book or something like that. Maybe Emerson could teach him a thing or two. What you would do in those situations, because Emerson was doing the same thing, Dave. Emerson would lay a hard one on Zaha, and then right after that, would be holding his face or like the classic Brazilians that they do. And I would say maybe that's all that Jaffet has to do is just do a little.
You'd hate to play a prank on him in the dressing room, Jack, and he'd take it up the wrong way because you'd be running away from him. He'd kill you. He would kill you.
You would, Dave. That's what I'm saying is just maybe a bit of a masterclass, you might say, from Emerson. It's not like, Emerson needs to teach him anything about defending is what I would say. But you just teach him, this is the moments, this is how a bit of shithousery lessons, Dave, lessons on shithousery is what I would say is what maybe Jaffet needs. But moving on, we are going to be talking about Ben Davies, Dave. Be talking about Ben Davies here as that left-sided center back for us in this match. What did Ben Davies do wrong specifically in this match? And did he deliberately, for you, contribute to 2 of Crystal Palace's goals? Basically, the question is, Ben Davies, is he single-handedly responsible? If he had not come on the pitch, would those 2 goals have been scored? That's basically the question. As much as that, is directly, pointed towards a player, I think it's not unfair. I think he really was that horrible. I would give him a negative rating. I would give him even worse than a non-applicable, like we've given Winksy before. Dave, how do you feel like it? Was he solely responsible for those 2 goals? And maybe if they had made, they probably couldn't have made a different substitution, but if they had made a different substitution, do you feel like we wouldn't have even conceded those 2 goals in the way that we did?
Look, once Dier came off, we were always going to be put in a tricky position. The thing that Ben Davies done wrong exactly was lace up his boots. Let's be honest. Look, Jack, as soon as the guy came on the pitch, right, he just doesn't fill you with confidence. There was one, even before all this happened, there was a ball that came over the top straight away. And all he had to do was take it down, Jack, turn and make a pass, or just play it back to Hugo Lloris. He puts it out into touch. I'm already pulling my hair out, right? Then he gives away the penalty, Jack. Now, for me, does this guy think he's in the scene of Titanic? What is his arms doing out like that? What is his arms doing out like that? What, he thinks he's on the Titanic?
David, I will say it was a similar motion to, what I used to do as a server, Dave. I used to say, your table's right over here, sir. You please sit down. It really was something like that. He seemed to be motioning, pointing, this is the arm I would like you to hit it off of, as like a target. It really was actually shocking. And then maybe, David, moving on to the next goal that he kind of maybe contributed to was that Odsonne Edouard goal, where he felt like, he was just getting spun he got spun before Edouard even touched the ball, it felt like, David. And you even said he's jumping around on pogo sticks. What do you feel like? Was he also maybe completely responsible for that? Like, had maybe someone else been defending that, maybe Edouard wouldn't have finished?
Do you know what he looked like, Jack? Do you ever watch The In-Betweeners? Do you ever see the dance that they do when they're on holiday and you have them doing that thing? Right, everyone needs to go and check it out. So those that watch The In-Betweeners knows what I'm talking about, where they do this stupid dance and they're kind of like going at this and then come back and go like that. That's what Ben Davies was like coming out to Odsonne Edouard. Now, I just looking at it, I'm like, I don't get what the guy's doing. He's moving left, he's moving right, he's making... The ball hasn't even moved. He didn't even do any bit of skill. The ball stayed in the one spot. And he's jumping left and right before he even got out. And I'm just looking at him. I'm like, there's a reason why when this guy plays, we end up dropping points, losing results. Because not only is he just shit and does dumb moments like he did with the penalty, but then he panics. And he just adds to it and adds to it and adds to it. For me, absolutely shocking defending on both goals. And this is what I keep saying. I would rather have Nuno brought on a Mole and him made them mistakes. And I can accept that. Rather than a guy that people keep telling me, this is what he's here for, to cover injuries. These are the games he's here for. And this shit keeps happening in the same games. Look, like I keep saying, he's not alone. But I'm fed up with it. Yes, that's the one. Big up. Neil Danson, 100%. Yeah, big up, Adam. Yeah, 100%. Everyone gets it. Loving it. They know what I mean. But it was absolutely disaster. It was an absolute joke. And for me, this numpty, I'll be honest with you, I don't want to see him in a Spurs jersey between now and January. And then in January, I want to see him back in the Swansea jersey, kick him back up to Wales where he belongs, and fucking throw the bags at him as well. I'm fed up with him. Him and Harry Winks. I'm fed up with the two of them. But Ben Davies can do one. I'm sick of it. I don't want any more people defending him. I'm not listening to Alex Davies anymore defending him. No way. He had the cheek to come on here and say, let's stop getting on Ben Davies' thing. And then he does that today. When are people going to learn their lessons? Certain players at this club, they keep doing the same things. And then we keep trusting them. Oh, well, no, it's not the players, it's the manager. The manager's too tough. He's not tucking them into bed at night, kissing them. You know what I mean? Good night, Ben. Hope you have a good sleep. Rubbing his head, leaving the room, switching off the light. Because the manager's not doing that, all of a sudden it's the manager's fault. And then we keep going down this path where we get in new managers. Stop this crack. Let's start making some of these players. Okay, Nuno got a lot wrong today. But let's start putting a lot of the blame at the likes of a Ben Davies store, at the likes of a Harry Winks store. Players who should be coming in, chomping at the bit to perform. And when given their chance, let us down every single time. I've had enough. Mr. Anonymous, he has to go. End of.
Absolutely. And like
you cannot trust Ben Davies.
Yep. And Alex, do your homework, as maybe we said that one time. And honestly, I will say, as much as I loved and adored that show, it was really good therapy for all of us, Dave. Is, the best laugh, we've had in a
Yeah,
long time. You now
yeah.
look at it now and it's not really as funny anymore, Dave. It's really not as funny anymore. Actually, it makes me a bit sick. I probably, might not ever look back at that episode, just considering the performance that, followed that week, Dave, the performance that
Yeah.
followed that week. It's not a coincidence, I would say. I think this was a long time coming, this big kind of a moment for everybody to maybe awake to Ben Davies. Of course, the Harris Army is well awoke to Ben Davies. I know they are. But yeah, maybe for the rest of the Spurs fans, maybe this is a big kind of wake up moment. Ben Davies, though, I would say to Alex, it's not funny anymore. It's just not funny anymore, Dave. Really, it's actually painful. It really was as well. He gave me 20 minutes of depression, David. I'm not kidding. You even saw me on the watch line. I couldn't speak watching what Ben Davies was doing on that pitch. So that's all I would say. But maybe just to finish this, Dave, is this really the final straw? Is this like a fluke performance where this is like the worst Ben Davies we can get possible? Or is this actually that lesson that Ben Davies can get this bad? Like he can actually produce something similarly worse again?
Look, it's only going to keep getting worse. Look, after the Packers game, he didn't really do anything. Look, he didn't really do anything. Yeah, but the problem is he didn't do anything. That's the problem. Good or bad, he done nothing. You give him another chance today, you throw him in, and he does this. Look, just cannot be trusted. I do not want to see him in a Tottenham jersey again. I am fed up with the same stuff happening. He has to go. He has to go. Soon as. Look, I get it. I know we got a long list of players out the door in the summer, and I'm a big advocate of we were never going to get it all done. Believe me. And look, out of all of them, I would have rather Ben Davies and we stay out of what has gone. I'm glad we got rid of what we gone. But I'm just saying, moving forward, I don't want to see anyone. Because look, it's no coincidence that, come December, they'll play an FA Cup game, they'll play well, and then all of a sudden, oh no, let's keep Winks. We don't need to sell Davies. We don't need to sell Winks. This is what they're here for, these games. And then we'll keep them, the window will close, then we'll play in the next round, and we'll play a Colchester or something, and then we'll get slapped, and then it's too late to get rid of them. Then for the last 2 games of the season, they're putting a good performance, and everyone will be like, no, we need to keep them. I'm sick of it. We need to learn our lessons with these guys. This whole show is about learning lessons. So let's learn our lessons with this guy. He's not good enough. He costs us too much. It's as simple as that. He cost us today. Massive.
Yeah, I think it is the final straw. But Lionheart 1066, yet again with another super chat. Really big yourself up, Lionheart. You're an absolute legend. And he says, Jack and the Hotspurs, great show, or Irish Hotspur, great show tonight. Even with the result today, Tottenham till I die. Absolutely, Lionheart. Perfectly said. Perfectly said. Also, so succinctly said, David. So shortly said and perfectly said. Honestly, we really do appreciate the support. And I do hope that maybe we've been that bit of therapy for some, maybe today. A lot of this is also therapy for David and I, maybe how down we look. We are a bit of, the positivity cult, the positivity gang, and you can tell that we are a bit down at the moment. But as always, we do try to look at things through a bit more of an objective lens. That's why this show, we're trying to think about it as lessons learned instead of, continuing to grate into the players like we do. And we have been doing it this show. We will continue to do that. But we're trying to be a bit more productive about it, maybe offer solutions, maybe just summarize what actually did we learn from a match like this. And I would say, going back to Ben Davies, my lesson learned is I think there can be similarly horrible performances that Ben Davies would produce, which just means he has to be out the door. But going back to Lionheart here, I really do hope that you enjoyed all the shows today. I didn't catch you in the watch along. Hopefully you were there too for that. But I do hope that you enjoyed this show tonight. And as well, love that Tottenham till I die. But also, Lionheart, what I would tell you is, what's the line for Brian C, Dave?
Oh, win or learn.
Come on, you Spurs. Learn. That's how I tell you to Lionheart as well. Win or learn, come on, you Spurs. That's been basically the whole motto behind this even show today is win or learn, come on, you Spurs. We're taking it from Brian C. Absolutely philosophical from him. So big up, Lionheart, though. Really do appreciate you.
Really appreciate it. And just quickly to add to the Ben Davies thing. Look, I know people are going to say, oh, yeah, but he steps up when the managers ask him to. He's the first one to say, I'll play. That's great. I like it. I appreciate it. It's a good trait and quality to have. But it's all well and good doing that. But if you can't execute it, well, then what's the point? Let's be honest. Go and find a different job if you cannot execute it, or go and play at a different level if you can't execute it. Someone jumping up, being a little manager's lick ass and saying, yes, I will do it, that's all well and good. but go and do it at Accrington Stanley or somewhere like that where it's more your level. If this isn't your level, you're getting found out every single time you do it. So, look, let's just move on because this guy really annoys me. He's getting me angry. But everyone, make sure you do smash the like button. Keep smashing the subscribe button, guys. Big push for 5K is on. I keep getting the super chats in, guys. It really is a massive support to me and Jack. And big up Lionheart. I really appreciate the kind words, my man. And
Another thing I would say, sorry, Dave, is there are 226 of you watching in the building right now. Please, 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 if you feel like, you've been enjoying the content from either the watch along today or right now, please just drop the Irish People's Elbow on that big shiny red button below so that you know what therapy you need from any Tottenham game. Win or lose, the therapy will be provided here. Will be in either excellent elation, almost ecstasy, you might say, and then we'll also be down in the muck, down in the dirt as well. But we always try to improve it. We always try to make things a bit better. And so what I would say to you, Dark Sun G, and to everybody in the building, please stick around with us. We're just trying to make it as productive, as I would say, just trying to make it productive, trying to make everything better, for the Harris Army, for the Spurs fans out there. So 215 of you watching, please, please, please drop that people's elbow down below. And as well, if you need a bit of a distraction from Spurs as well, check out that description down below for flatcapeurotalk in case you just need to not be looking at Spurs for the next few days. Head on over to that description below. Flatcapeurotalk is our second channel that is basically stuff that's outside of Spurs, maybe some of the bigger news outside of Spurs, anything having to do with Champions League, transfers, whatnot. That's where you need to go as well to get that good distraction.
Yeah, 100%, guys. Look, we are all pissed off with Spurs this weekend. No one's going to want to watch any more Premier League because we're pissed off with that too. So get over to flatcapeurotalk and check out what games we can watch this weekend. Big up, and make sure you do check it out and smash the subscribe on that as well. But look, super chat here from Dark Sun G. Paratici, see this, and please ship those two out ASAP. Yeah, look, Dark Sun G, 100%. Look, he couldn't do it all in one window, but look, there's another window coming up right round the corner. I don't care. Loan them out. Do something. Just get them out. I couldn't agree more, Dark Sun G. Big up, my absolute legend.
I would say to you, Dark Sun G, I'm pretty sure Steve Hitchen probably has a black eye or something like that, because Paratici was probably absolutely fuming next to him, probably watching the game. Probably has, plenty of bruises on the shoulders as well from Paratici punching him and pointing at him to get this player off and whatnot. So all I would say is Steve Hitchen, I would say just put a little bit of ice on, wherever Paratici was, slapping you and hitting you today, because I'm pretty sure he must have been livid today, David. He must have been livid.
Yeah, well, I would have been.
I think we all were, but it just seems like from the sideline, him screaming at players for doing stuff wrong and whatnot, screaming at the ref. I think they probably just didn't allow him into the game because he probably would have ran onto the field and tackled John Moss himself, David Paratici. But definitely Dark Sun G. I really do hope that he absolutely ships these two out.
You can imagine now Paratici running on and clotheslining, and that's brilliant. Absolutely love it. Brilliant, Jacko.
He gets a yellow card. I'd love to see Paratici get a yellow card. Imagine the director of football getting a yellow card.
I'd love it. I would actually love to see that. That would be awesome, to be honest with you. But look, big up Dark Sun G. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Well, look,
second to last question, Dave. Yeah, second to last question here. Has to do with Harry Kane. Has to do with the Don here. Another one of the players that I just thought was absolutely anonymous today. Really couldn't find any footing into the game. Do you feel like, though, Harry kind of struggled in doing any of those unique abilities and creative kind of actions that he's so well known for? Do you feel like the reason he struggled in, dropping deep, linking play, putting balls in behind, just all of the creative, unique things that Harry Kane does, do you feel like he struggled with that today just because of maybe the lineup selection? Or is it maybe just something else that's maybe bothering him? Or are we maybe giving him too much of an excuse and he has to step up?
I'll be honest with you, Jack. I think it's a bit of all three, to be honest with you. I think you can take a bit of all three out of it. Look, something bothering him? Probably. But I don't care. You're being paid big bucks. Stuff, but like with Endon Belly, I couldn't give a shit if stuff's bothering you. You pay big bucks, put it out of your mind for 90 minutes and go and play a game of football. It's a game you grew up playing for love and that you really loved it. Now it's become a full-time profession and you're getting paid to do it. So put everything aside for 90 minutes, go out and play your football. In terms of, the creativity around them, yeah, 100%. There was lack of creativity around them. Look, as much as he is world class, you still have to provide him with chances at the end of the day, 100%. So that's a massive factor. I think Galini or playing Gill, I keep getting them two names mixed up, but playing Brian Gill, look, for me, I think would have solved that issue today. They had a real good rapport in the Packers to Ferreira game, and I think it probably would have been enough to put Palace to bed today. Didn't happen. Look, Lucas Moore, the other side. You look when Lucas Moore is running with the ball, Kane is trying to provide an outlet for him, but there's only so much you can do when it's only two years breaking forward. Look, and as well, when you have winks in midfield, you're not playing forward anytime quickly. You're not retaining possession, so it's hard to get into the game. But look, I did expect at times, okay, if it's not going your way, I've played up front before, Jack. Hasn't gone my way. Do I sit there, throw my hands up? No. I'd say, okay, well, I'm going to drop back. I'm going to start getting the ball. I'm going to get some touches on the ball and start trying to get us up the field. Get on the ball, hold it up, get players running off you, and start keeping a bit of possession. But he didn't even do that. So for me, look, I think the worst thing about it, Jack, and it was a great point made by Philip, was he didn't care. He wasn't berating players like we've seen him do in the past. He wasn't going over there putting an arm around Tanganga and saying,
he didn't even put in a naughty tackle or anything on any of the Crystal Palace players. All right, we've seen him do that before where, he steps up for his teammates, Dave, even. But yeah, go on. Yeah, no, and that's the thing. No, he didn't step up for his teammates. He didn't look interested when the ball did come his way anyway. He wasn't really competing. And for me, he was just completely anonymous. Look, it was much like that for England at the weekend or during the week against Poland. Yeah, he scored a worldie. And look, a world-class player always has that in him. But you can't be relying on that. Get yourself into the game. If the ball's not coming your way, get yourself into the game. Do what you have to do to get into the game. I couldn't care less. But look, it was awful for him. And look, I do think there's a thing as well that we are probably making a bit too much excuses for him. And look, I'm one of the biggest ones. I'm a big Harry Kane lover. But today, there's no excuses for the guy. He should have stepped up. Everyone else got us, 3 wins out of 3 games. We're in a bit of a pickle. He should have stepped up today and got us through that pickle. And he didn't. So I have to give him the criticism. He done absolutely nothing. MIA, missing in action. It's like he was over thinking that should he be over in Hollywood auditioning for a film or something. Because his mind wasn't there. And I'll be honest, I couldn't give a shit what's going on outside. You're paid to put in a performance for 90 minutes. I don't judge you on what's going outside of your life. I judge you on your football performance. And I've always been like that. So I couldn't care less. Whatever's going on in his mind, get it out of it and start playing football. Well said, Dave. Well said. If I were to answer that question, is it a combination of all three for me? Yeah, it definitely could be. It easily could be some off the field kind of things, maybe still feeling a bit of resentment towards either Levy or towards, even just the squad or something. I'm not sure. Maybe towards even himself, and his brother, Dave, who knows, it's just something is going on mentally for him. And then also on top of that, the squad selection by far did not help him because that made it then maybe where we had to rely on Harry even more, to come up with the goals. We couldn't think that maybe Harry could, help someone else score. It really did have to come from Harry in order for us to get a goal today. So you have to think about that. That maybe made things a bit harder for him. And then the last thing I would say is we probably are, though, making a bit too many excuses for him because this is supposed to be a world-class striker. This is supposed to be someone that is actually one of the best in the world, David, at dropping deep, linking up the play, especially when things aren't going well for his team. Harry Kane in the past has really stepped up and has been able to maybe just put the team on his shoulders, link up play, get the team going again, get things flowing again. And he honestly couldn't do that. So I think we're giving him too many excuses, but as well, though, you have to recognize it is a world-class striker. And with world-class strikers, they definitely also still need to be matched with, better players alongside them for their best attributes to come out. But also, it could be a mental thing that we are definitely being maybe a bit too kind to Kane. Maybe we aren't, but it's also definitely, yeah, Dave.
What do you think of this by Kim B, Jack? And it is a fair comment here, about, and look, I'm not making excuses because I don't think there is any excuses from today. But it is a fair comment to say he does start the season slow. But still, look, we should have expected him to set up.
If you were to take that into consideration, then you would maybe take away one of those reasons that we were talking about, Dave. But then you might say you might take away the mental one, right? We would take away that mental block that we're talking about. But then you have to look at it this way. He was deeply hurt by the midfield and by the players that were played alongside him. Absolutely hurt by that. And then as well, he did still have a horrible game. And we have to, also recognize that. And we are maybe trying to come up with excuses for him when there aren't really any, when you think about that. And that's the case, with plenty of players. Sometimes we do come up, and I do this all the time. Believe me, I'm probably the worst when it comes to this. But we come up with excuses for players, when maybe they just don't simply deserve it. And I think that might be the case, with Harry Kane today. I think his performance was that poor that I'm even trying to find reasons for why it was poor. And to be honest, you could look at it as, yeah, he honestly had that poor of a game. and he's probably just starting off the campaign slow, as maybe Kim is saying, kind of usually he does. But I would still say it's those two things: bad squad selection, and also still just a horrible performance from Harry.
So, look, what would you say is the lesson learned then from it, Jack? We have to take a lesson from it. So what do you think the lesson
We do have
learned?
to take a lesson from it, Dave. I think the lesson from it there is in the pudding, where it's just the squad selection then, because Harry can have a bad game. Harry is allowed to have a bad game, but would he have had such a bad game, as we've said a million times, if Brian Hill, Stevie B, Dele Alli, Hojbjerg, Skippy midfield instead of Winks in there? All three of those things could have potentially maybe brought out a better Harry Kane. I think a 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10 Harry Kane probably still would have popped up with an assist, have created something, but it felt like we were handed, the 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10 Harry Kane today, David. So that's all I can say is it's probably the squad selection again is the lesson learned as to Harry Kane's performance.
100%. Couldn't agree more. Good analysis there, Jacko. Your own questions.
Thanks, David. Though we are catching up, though we have to make sure we're getting a lesson learned, making sure how can we repair this. Good job, David. We almost forgot there.
No, look, that's what we do, Jack. When I forget things, you keep me in line, and then when you do, I come in. You keep me in line more though. Lionheart says Lionheart says Kane 100 million. How much for Sonny? I think he is more important. Look, Kane is worth more than 100 million.
No price for me. But still at the moment. Yeah, sorry, I'm interrupting you. Sorry.
No. Just quickly, look, by the time the season finishes with Harry Kane, I do think he'll rack up some good numbers again. Look, for me, I think Harry Kane is priceless, but it also says Sonny is priceless, and that's what I'm going to stick with. I know it's a bit sitting on the bench, but I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to get drawn into any more of these debates, who's better, Kane and Son, because at the end of the day, I love them both, and they're both good for Tottenham Hotspur, equally as important, I would say.
I think they're both world-class players that both offer world-class abilities and traits that are different from each other. That's what I would say. With Sonny, he has his limitations, while Harry Kane has his limitations. But together, they're basically the best front two that Spurs, have had together for a very, very, very long time. And so that's all I would say. But for Kane, 100 million. I mean, if Kane let's say Kane wants to leave after the season or something, he just, throws his toys out of the pram. I would say I would take 120 million, but I don't like to have those thoughts. So that's all I'm going to give you, Lionheart, just because, you are asking a question. And for Sonny, I think Sonny is priceless. And I think that's what the contract just showed. There's nobody that's going to be able to pry Sonny away from Spurs, maybe towards the end of his career, maybe a last final hurrah. He'll move to like a Bayern Munich or something, Dave, for like a season or two, something like that. Who knows? But it seems like he's going to be here forever. And so there's no price on Sonny. If I had to sell Kane, 120 million is what I would say to Lionheart after this season. And that's being realistic. I'm not trying to, just put up a huge mark. I think you could still ask for 120 million. And you could probably find someone silly enough maybe to pay that much. It probably would end up being close to the 100 million mark, but I would start at 120.
No, look, you definitely will find someone. But look, I'm just going to stick to priceless. That's for sure, Lionheart.
I love priceless. I like that answer too.
It's like MasterCard, priceless. Big up, Lionheart. Absolutely love it. Appreciate the support, my man. Dark Song G says, now that I think about it, that Zagreb game was the same. We used both Kane and Mr. Easy Pass and the same shocking result. When we need Kane, he's never here. Yeah, look, the Zagreb one, yeah, look, he had a chance and he probably should have scored it. Better performance in the Zagreb game one from Kane than today, to be honest with you. But look, with Mr. Easy Pass, Ben Davies, they all play these games, and I'm just fed up. I'm just absolutely fed up with it. And look, it's another great comment. It is a shocking result, and I'm just fed. I'm just disappointed with Kane not stepping up. But look, we can't just all put it on Kane. There's the whole squad doesn't step up. Look, Kane doesn't lose a game on his own, and he doesn't win a game on his own. You need the whole team. And for me, look, when it comes to it, it's you could probably say the same about Hugo Lloris. You could probably say the same about Sonny. They've all played in the games, and they've all lost the games, and they've all won them together. So I wouldn't be singling out anyone and just saying, that them games are solely on them. Look, I don't know. Look, I get it. I'm disappointed with Kane. I'm pissed off with Kane, but I'm not going to go berating him either.
Yeah, I think that's good. That's good logic there, David. I would say to Dark Sun G is maybe we can just think about, Ben Davies and Winksy and just think of them as like the kryptonite, for Spurs, you might say, just like the internal kryptonite, like almost like an ailment to us, David, like a team, like people that can just hurt us at any moment, like a poison within the squad, as we've said before. That's all I would say to you, Dark Sun G, is, maybe just having Winks in the midfield is like Harry Kane's kryptonite or something like that. You just don't get the best out of Harry. That's all I would say to you, Dark Sun G. But I wouldn't like to throw Harry too much under the bus for, maybe certain performances where, right, we could have wanted more from him, because at the end of the day, we're talking about world-class players, strikers, when we're talking about Sonny and Harry Kane. So I wouldn't like to really put any of them down. I don't think you were Dark Sun G by any means, just saying that. And as well, maybe you probably agree with me, though, in saying that Harry Winks might be the kryptonite to the squad. Sometimes this kryptonite to a win, you might say.
Harry Winks and Ben Davies is the common denominator. It's the common denominator. But Dark Sun G says the same situation, no son because of injuries. No, look, 100%, I fully get it. I fully get it. Fully get what you're saying. Another good point. Look, Dark Sun G, I know you have the stats there. I'd say you
tough
do.
to argue with, Dave. He's a tough one to argue with.
No, he is. And I'm not even arguing with him because I love him. I'm not even arguing with him at all. But what I do want to see is, right, because I see a lot of this. It's all, no, son, this is what happens. But I never see any stats without Harry Kane in the team. You know what I mean? And I'm sure they'd probably be similar to what it is with Son. Without one of them in the team, we probably lose more or drop more points than what we win, I would say. But big up Dark Sun G. I know you definitely have a stat for that in your big bad computer there, my man. Dig it out and send it in to me, lad. It doesn't even have to be a
legend, Dark Sun G.
But do you know what? Alex does his homework, Dark Sun G. Maybe I can give you a tiny little bit of homework, and I would like you to produce that stat for me, because I know your computer has it somewhere. I know if you look deep enough into it, it has that stat. Big up Dark Sun G, my man, absolute legend. I hope you're enjoying the show.
Brings up good points as always too. Always. I will say he's like a Socrates, David. Dark Sun G. He's just logic.
Dark Sun G, I actually want to know. Do you just see these things and remember a lot of this, or do you actually just have like loads of stats on your computer? I do want to know. I am amazed, I have to say. If you remember all of this, I tell you, you've one great memory, and I'm jealous. I tell you that, I'm jealous. Lionheart with the super chat here says, just a question. I do not want any of them to go. They are priceless to me as well. Great show. Lads, going to drink some beer. Come on, you Spurs. No, 100%. We weren't. Look, 100%. Both priceless. I'm glad you don't want to see any of them going, man. I'm glad of that. And look, what I will say to you is, look, probably have 2 or 3. That's what I would say. Just have 2 or 3, my man.
I would just say, Lionheart, make it easy on yourself. Just a few lagers, just until you feel nice and hydrated. Then just take a nice, leisurely walk on home from there. Maybe take a nice, Netflix, to yourself. Just watch whatever you feel like. Maybe even have a beer, 4th beer with that Netflix or something. And then, have a bit of Ben & Jerry's, Lionheart. You'll wake up a better man the next day. That's all I'll tell you. Wake up a better person the next day. That's what I would say would be, the Kanicki answer me, kind of how to recover from a loss like this. That's what I would do if I were you, Lionheart. Works for me. No. Probably could work for you.
100%. Lionheart, you've been our Harry Kane today, and Dark Sun G, you have been our son today, I'd say. That Lionheart and Dark Sun G are Kane and son. Absolutely love it. And Dark Sun G says, I have good memories when it comes to Korean national team soccer, Spurs, and K-pop. Absolutely. Whoa. That K-pop is mad. Do you know if their fans go mad? Like, if someone criticizes them, they'll unsubscribe from things. It's absolutely mad, K-pop.
It's unbelievable, Dave, but they're also like they're kind of like also Latin pop singers as well. Like they're actually, the most famous people on the planet, and we don't really realize it. Some of the K-pop stars, they're more recognizable than even like LeBron James or even Harry Kane, right? They're way more recognizable, these guys, than like a Harry Kane or anything or in the street. So that's what I would say is, Dark Sun G, you probably just have an impeccable memory, almost probably a photographic memory, you might say. And Dark Sun G, we can just tell, the brain you must be absolutely massive. Big brain, big Harris Army.
Yeah, 100%. Big up. And Chris, hope things are well over there in Canada as well. Says thoughts always, Man U and Liverpool. Yeah, I just hate to look. I hate the two of them, I'll be honest with you. And I hope your Irish buddy is getting on over there well as well, my man. Big yourself up. But look, Jack, last question, is it? Or how many?
I think it is the last question. And everybody in the Harris Army, this is, we've just given you all the lessons today. We've given you maybe all of the hindsight, and we've been total Captain Hindsight today, I will admit, but, hopefully we don't have to do it too much, as I said, David, earlier. But this is, the kind of final question here. And it just simply is, I need us to build out, the starting 11 that we think maybe could have had a different result, today. Of course, maybe we would have played similarly as bad, but I don't think it would have been 3-0 if we had built out maybe the starting 11 and picked the team a bit differently. So for me, I'm going to start it off, and I'm going to say Hugo. Then I still would stick with Emerson, and I would still stick with Tanganga, and I'd still stick with Moon Boots. If Moon Boots is injured, probably still put Rodon there or something. I know I kind of dark Sun G now. I'm thinking about it. That Rodon selection does sound better and better considering, everything in hindsight. So now I would actually say maybe Tanganga right back, Rodon center back, Moon Boots other center back. And then alongside with that, Reggie. And then I would do the midfield of Hotspur, Skip, Dele as maybe a central midfielder, number 10, Brian Hill at the left wing, Harry Kane up top, and Lucas. That's how I would have done it. I guess the two kind of big differences I made were Brian Hill, I think Tanganga going to right back instead. And then as well, I think I had Rodon coming in. But let me know, everybody, what would have been your starting 11 maybe to have gotten a different result from this game? David, what would be yours?
Do you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing. I would have kept Tanganga at right back. I would have started Joe Rodon in beside Eric Dier. I would have put Dele Alli back in midfield, and I would have just put Gill out on the left. That's what I would have done. Look, the starting line has cost us the game. We lost it too soon before we even went out there.
That's why I wanted to finish with that.
Yeah.
How we would have built it now. How would we build it now in case, with all the hindsight, right?
Yeah, but look, with Rodon, he came on. There was a lot of questions. Is he fit? Is he not? What level is he at? Well, Ben Davies has had a preseason. He's at a better level than Ben Davies. Hindsight for me, I would have started him alongside Dier. I would have put him in. I would have kept Tanganga at right back because Zaha wouldn't have got as much joy as he did today. I don't think if we would have played Tanganga there. Look, Emerson, he wasn't as bad as people are making him out to be, but tough debut for the guy. But again, I do say you're not paying 30 million to sit on the bench, are you? So, look, at the end of the day, yeah, hindsight, I think the main one is put Dele Alli back into the midfield and put Brian Hill out on left because it did cost us the game. It was over before it started. Unfortunately, when teams see Harry Winks in the sideline, I don't mean to keep rating on the boy, but when teams see him in the starting lineup, they fancy it. They fancy it. It's that simple. They fancy themselves to get the 3 points. And yeah, lessons learned is, look, Nuno, he has to do better. He has to put more trust in some of the younger players, Jack.
Yeah.
The likes of Rodon, the likes of Brian Hill. When we have injuries, he needs to put forth faith in them. Because, look, I'll be honest with you, Rodon has shown me a lot more in his short Tottenham career than what Ben Davies has done over his 8 years of a Tottenham career. So for me, I just think lesson learned is that Nuno probably has to give a bit more faith in the likes of a Rodon and a bit more faith in the likes of a Gill and players like that. That's definitely the lesson I take from that. And he needs to realise that he can't trust some of these players ever again, that they will cost him. And from now on, look, just get the team right. I could get what he was trying to do. He was probably, I know Aaron Dove would love this word, but maybe do a football hipster sort of move by putting Dele Alli out on the left wing and stuff like that. And it just didn't work. And I just hope, look, at the end of the day, it's disappointing. I'm angry. I'm pissed off. It ruined my weekend. But all in all, we just need to take lessons from it. And we need to move on. And we just hope for the best now. And, 100%, that's where I'm at with it, Jacko.
Yeah, that's where I'm kind of with it as well, David. And as well, I do hope the Harris Army enjoyed this bit of lessons learned. How do we kind of recover from this mentally? What can we think about, that the team and the boys can do next time? Because sometimes we do kind of just berate the players. They're saying, this player is not good enough. This player isn't good enough. This player isn't good enough. I think that all is something we should definitely continue to say when it comes to certain ones. But then we could still maybe reflect on, but what did they maybe specifically do wrong? What could maybe we have done differently, et cetera, et cetera. So I would say to everyone, I hope you enjoyed this lessons learned, this bit of Captain Hindsight episode, you might say. But if everybody is still kind of in the muck, a bit in the mud about Spurs, please check out, this channel right down below, flatcapeurotalk, our second channel. In case you're new to the Harris Army here, in case you're new to the Irish Hotspur, and if you need a bit of distraction from Spurs, head on over to Flat Cap Euro Talk. We have some Champions League group predictions coming out very, very soon. It's going to be alongside my main man, Darius from Paxton Road. Darius will be joining me to do some Champions League kind of predictions and analysis and whatnot as well. We're going to be breaking down this weekend review. The Leipzig-Bayern game finished today. Napoli-Juventus was today. Bayer-Leverkusen-Dortmund was today. I'll be reviewing those games, probably a bit more with a smile on my face as well. So everybody, please head on over to Flat Cap Euro Talk. In the description below, please. I would enjoy if I saw any of you guys over there, just in case you need a bit of that distraction. I'd be happy for you guys to join me over there.
No, 100%, guys. Everyone, please do get over and check it out. The love you're already showing, it absolutely is amazing. There's a lot of good reports about it among the fan base. People seem to really, really be enjoying the channel. And look, what I'd say to you is, if it's good enough for Ben for We Are Tottenham TV and he enjoys it, well, it's good enough for you guys too. That's what I'd say. So get over there and smash that subscribe button, guys. Look, in terms of what's coming up for the rest of the week, look, it's my mother's birthday tomorrow, guys. So it's a day off here tomorrow. No content coming out tomorrow. But we'll be back Monday with the fan show. A lot of new members this week, so I want to see you guys on the fan show on Monday. Look, we just have to take lessons from it. Look, I want to say a massive thank you to you, the Harris Army, for your incredible support today over the watch long and this show. Numbers have been incredible today, guys. I want to say a massive thank you to all the super chats today from both shows as well. Absolutely insane. The support is magnificent. And you know, every YouTube channel that doesn't have a sponsorship, you know, even YouTube channels that do have a sponsorship, you have no idea how much they rely on the super chats and how much it really does help them, you know, with the content and looking to go full time with it and stuff like that. Look, guys, by no means are me and Jack perfect. You know, we would like, you know, suggestions and what you guys want to see in all the comments. So when this video is over, if you have any suggestions or anything you want to see me and Jack do, I don't care what it is, you know, I'll put it in there. Me and Jack will always try and make it happen for you. So let us do know. But look, make sure you smash a like on the stream, a subscribe on the channel. And look,
win or learn, come on you Spurs. Win or learn, come on you Spurs, as Brian C has been saying.
Win and learn, and come on you Spurs.